Welcome everyone to another game of Axis and Allies. In this one, I am playing as the Allied Powers, going up against Axis and Allies Commander, who at the time of this game is the 64th ranked silver tier player in the current ranked season. And things heat up really quickly in this one. I mean, as early as round one with the Germans, things get very interesting. So how we responded to that as the Allies, I thought was instructive in regards to our approach, and ultimately led to a very interesting game. I don't want to spoil too much, but it is a pretty good demonstration of kind of how to deal with some offbeat Axis play, things that are a little different, and kind of how, or I'll say at least there's, the one way you can respond is the route that I ultimately chose to go in this. So I think you'll find some value in that, and I think you'll find it enjoyable to watch. If you do, please do like, subscribe, all that fun stuff. Going to continue to pump out games here. I think this might be my last placement game with the Allies, or maybe second to last. But I'm curious to see what my rank will be, and as soon as I do, I'll make sure to share that in a future video. Without further ado, we'll hop into this one.
All right, here we go. Russia, turn one. We are not going to reinvent the wheel here, so we'll try and speed through this quick as we can. I'm going to stick with a recent purchase pattern that I've gone through the last couple turns, last couple games, where we're going to get 2 infantry, 3 artillery, 1 tank on turn 1. Had some success with this. I think it's kind of a nice middle ground between making sure we're getting some land units and infantry and artillery, while at the same time staying flexible if we have a good option to retreat from Ukraine by buying another tank, maybe to pair up with the 3 tanks that we could potentially retreat with. So we'll see. But I'm going to stick with this. I think it's pretty flexible, accomplishes a lot of things we want to do. And we'll do the standard 12-9. All right, 12-9. There we go. Lock that in, roll the dice. All right, well, unfortunately combat was not great. It was not horrendous, but it was not great. We only have 2 tanks remaining in Ukraine, and we lost, I think, 4 infantry in West Russia. So all that is very much a bummer. And actually, I'm going to send him into China. And then we'll just do a standard kind of move. And actually, what I'm going to do, I'm going to put 1 fighter in. Let's put both of them here, actually. In Archangel. Set the sub around. We'll just do all the standard moves here. But yeah, putting these fighters in Archangel, I've noticed quite a few players do this in some other games, and it gives you an option to use these fighters to hit Buryatia if you decide, round 2 you want to push hard with the Russians on Japan. So it gives you an option, not saying we'll do that, but it gives us the option to do it. All he has here is a tank that he would be able to hit that stack with, so we have 2 infantry, 2 fighters. We should be able to hold that off. Would not be an advisable move if he were to do that. And that will close our Russian turn. All right, so that is Russia 1. Not exactly what I was hoping for, needless to say. I'm actually going to send 1 infantry and then 1 into Russia. But we will see how things go for the Germans and their turn, and see you guys back for UK round number 1.
United Kingdom round number 1. Very interesting board from what it looks like already with what the Germans decided to do. So let's dive into that. They purchased 5 tanks, 1 infantry, 1 destroyer. So they are going in on the tank blitz. But we need to get some pressure on Germany ASAP. I don't believe buying tanks is usually the right play. I'll just be totally honest. We'll see if it works. I mean, I know it is a valid play. I do think we have a pretty strong and solid Russia that the tank blitz maybe doesn't make the most sense at this moment, but we'll see. We'll definitely see how it goes. A lot of things can change with the dice. So they stepped into Karelia, they took that, they hit Iceland with 2 infantry instead of just 1. So they took 2 infantry off the mainland, they're going to drop them there. Season 17 took out the destroyer there, did Transjordan with a tank and an infantry, successful there. Ukraine destroyed 2 tanks, lost 3 infantry, so a great outcome for us there. They had no losses in Season 10, what was this? Oh, yeah, so no, didn't hit us, missed with a sub. And then Season 7, yeah, I don't know if this cruiser was a mistake moving this into Season 6, if he forgot to bring it from season 5, I don't know why it wasn't included in this attack. But we had a great result, absolutely great result. 2 submarines, 2 fighters lost by the Germans, and all we lost was 1 sub. So I mean, he obviously didn't get great dice, but that's huge. I mean, taking 2 fighters, having an intact battleship, destroyer, and an extra transport with the UK is amazing. But either way, that's going to segue us into our purchase, because we're going to go ahead and take advantage of this extra battleship, destroyer, and we're going to drop some additional fleet. We're going to drop a carrier, another destroyer, and a transport. We'll go ahead and lock that in. You know we're going to do that. And then my thought is we can take both France and Northwest already. And I think we should do it. So we'll go ahead and we'll move this guy down. We're going to take it light though. We're going to take 1 infantry. Got that 1 infantry there. We'll take this transport. Take the other infantry. And actually I don't think I want to do that. I think I need... Yeah, we're going to have to use the artillery, unfortunately. What's going on here? This one? Does that one make sense? Yeah, there we go. Alright, figured that out finally. But yeah, I think we have to take the artillery, because if we take the other infantry, I'm not building infantry, and we wouldn't be able to take a full transport next turn. So we'll lose an artillery, but I think it's fine. Artillery is not the end of the world. The 6 IPC will be very nice. It'll still be a net IPC play for us. We know we're going to want, you know, this 1 fighter to hit the transport, then 1 fighter at the cruiser, then I'm thinking destroyer at the cruiser. This destroyer, cruiser, battleship can all come here. I do think we need to put a halt to whatever he's trying to do here. So we'll do a standard hit on the battleship, the fighters and whatnot. All this infantry in Africa and Egypt will come in and hit the stack here in Transjordan. I think we will want to take at least 1 more into that battle, because it's 4. And then we'll do standard kind of British Pacific here, given the big fleet and then the pressure. I mean, we're obviously going KGF in this one. Buying tanks. We have all of the transports on the east coast of the North America. We're going to get a lot of pressure on Germany very quickly. We'll see if he has enough time to rebuild and rebound from the pressure we're going to put on there. We'll send this sub at this sub, because why not? And then I think we'll swing the cruiser and the transport into 41. My only other thought here, just after all this is done, is I'm going to take 2 infantry from India into Transjordan. We'll leave the 1 infantry here to keep this tank from blitzing through. My gut's telling me we might need to drop the cruiser into 6 of this. Then we have battleship 1, 2, 3. We'll have carrier for 5, 6 with the fighters in 8. So that's 3 fighters to protect the 2 transports. That should be enough. And if he wants to send those 3 fighters at destroyer cruiser or whatever's remaining there in 6, and that will be all of the combat. Okay, that'll do it. That'll be the combat. Lock that in. Roll the dice. Alright, combat was pretty good. We took a couple hitbacks in Transjordan, which was a bummer. But we were clean in the battleship raid, which was great. You know, obviously the bomber's going to die anyways now in Egypt. But maybe we can get lucky, take another infantry with that. But everywhere else I think it was good. He submerged the sub in 44 as expected. While we're here, we'll go ahead and grab these guys, send them this way. And then our battle up here in 6, I don't think we took any hits with the cruiser he had there. So that all went as expected, which is awesome. So we'll get the boats that we have remaining into Sea Zone 8 with the 2 transports. We got the 2 fighters that will land on the carrier, we'll mobilize. And then the British officially have secured the Atlantic, which is amazing. We'll get this guy into Eastern Canada. Yeah, oh yeah, and no hits here in 61. So that went exactly as we hoped. But that is going to do it for the UK. Oh, actually, no, it's not, because we got this little sneaky SOB down in South Africa, and now we are officially done. We'll close our turn here, mobilize our carrier and destroyer and transport into Sea Zone number 8. Then we will see you guys for the United States, round number 1. All right, United States, round number 1. Take a look at what Japan did. went ahead and purchased 2 transports, fighter and a tank. Mobilized those into 60, tank and fighter into Japan. Combat wise, they did go ahead and do Pearl Harbor. Looks like they took everything with a cruiser remaining. Interestingly, he landed fighter and bomber on the Solomons, which puts him in range of this transport that we have here off the coast of New Zealand. And I'm not sure if we'll hit that, but it's pretty enticing to come back and bombard with the cruiser and then have a chance to maybe roll a 1 and get a fighter or a bomber. Very, very, very strongly considering that, but that is a UK play. Other combat for Japan, went ahead and took out the transport in 34, dropped that fighter in Libya. Seazone 61, moved in there, took out the boats we had there. Yunnan, 2 infantry, lost an infantry. Burma, infantry, lost an infantry. Seazone 53, we already alluded to, he cleared that. And that is it for Japan. So he's got 3 transports. He's got his fleet set up here in 61. Pretty good start for Japan. Pretty good start. So with the US, I think what we're going to do is we're going to take it slow. We're going to go KGF. We're going after Germany hard after the tank buy. And especially the fact we have landings going already, I think really bodes well for us long term. We already have a British fleet. We already have 3 transports on the Brits. We're just going to continue to load up, put the pressure on the US. We're going to get infantry, artillery. We're going to get 3 transports and an aircraft carrier. Now combat, we'll go ahead. We'll take care of this cruiser. There's no reason to keep this thing around. So we'll send the destroyer and the 2 fighters after that. There's no combat for our troops in China, unfortunately. And we do not want to take Morocco just yet. I just unfortunately think it's a little too soon. He has a destroyer here in 15. None of his aircraft could actually hit. But why give him a 50-50 chance, or a little less than 50-50, but 35-40% chance to just hit the destroyer and we miss. So I'm not going to do that and risk those transports. We'll play it slow. That will be it for combat here for the US. So we'll lock that in. Dice roll. Alright, we were successful. Did not take a hit back, which is awesome. You always love when that happens. Bring all these boats back around. This transport will grab the 1. Drop him in here. Canadian will come down. The transport probably needs to come to here, but 1, 2, 3, 4. Fortunately, there's not a real good safe spot for it. That's just 1 guy. I don't think we can take the 1 infantry, but that's fine. That's not going to kill us. We'll go ahead and send this transport around. Move these units to the east. These guys are down. We'll move these guys up into Canada with these 2 boats. The destroyer. 1 fighter on the carrier. Cruiser can come out to 12. Bomber. Go to England. Chinese troops will step back into Kazakh. We will send the fighter here to India. And that'll do it for the US. So we'll close our non-combat there. Yeah, a couple very, very straightforward turns for us this first round. So really not too much to talk about. Nothing too crazy that's kind of happened on either end. I mean, I think the only interesting thing in round 1 was just kind of how he decided to play things with Germany. I mean, buying a destroyer, but leaving the battleship open. It's all just, it's very interesting. Destroyer with all tank buy. He only has 3 fighters, so we'll see how it goes. But I don't think that was an optimal way to play Germany round 1. But we'll see how things go round 2. I'm gonna stick with a standard round 2 buy here. I'm gonna get 6 infantry and another fighter for the Russians. And then attacks, I think we're just gonna try and take all these. So he has nothing in range. Well, actually he has 8 tanks, or 11 tanks in range of Karelia. So I don't think I want to push too hard. We'll start with an artillery 2 infantry, because I do think we'll want an artillery there. We will take an artillery here. Put 1 infantry into each of these. And probably want to send 2 more into Karelia. And we'll send a fighter. No. These 2. We'll leave Bellow because it's not as critical. And that's going to be it for combat. So we'll hit all these 3 territories on the front line here. We'll hope for, yeah, Bellows favorable. Yeah, we'll hope for some good dice. Alright, combat was okay. At least we took everything. Hit did quite a bit of damage in Corellia. He had about 3 hitbacks, 3 or 4 hits on that. So that wasn't great, but nothing we can't handle. We'll go ahead and move all these guys back off of the line here. Now, Japan did not push at all into Buryatia. And to be honest, I don't think I care. He has enough transports here and enough air where he can always just drop a bomb on us in Buri with these 4 guys. I actually think these 4 guys are more valuable out east, holding territory over here. Trading with the Germans, we're obviously going after Germany. So I really don't care if Japan can take this territory. We don't need them to put pressure on Japan in any way because they can just take the pressure off as soon as they feel fit. I do think we're going to want to stack everything into West Russia here. Everything molded up there. I don't think we'll move any of the AA guns. And that will do it for the Russians. Yeah, alright. We'll close the knock-on. We'll mobilize our guys. Fighter into Russia. We'll put 3 infantry and then 3 infantry in each of these. And then we'll close our turn. So yeah, not a ton of craziness going on right now. Oh god, do we have 30 IPC? Is that what I said? Wow. Yeah, that'll be nice. We'll probably get some tanks next turn. And really just start pushing and putting the pressure on Germany. So very curious to see what they're going to do. The Americans are coming. They're right behind. Things look good in Africa. Things look good so far. I mean, Japan's obviously going to get going. They're probably going to get India. But that's fine. You can have India if it means we're going to have Germany, by round 6 or 7. Because 3 fighters and a handful of tanks is not going to keep Germany afloat for too long. So we'll see if I'm right. We'll see you guys back for UK, round number 2. United Kingdom, round number 2. Take a look at what Germans did last turn. 2 fighters, a bomber, 2 infantry, and artillery. So very interesting purchase the first 2 rounds. Last round they bought all tanks, infantry, destroyer. And this round they're buying fighters, bombers, and a couple infantry, artillery. So they're definitely behind the ball on units. So we are full bore into getting Germany here, as you definitely need a lot of infantry, and right now that's looking a little thin. 11 tanks is scary though. Not going to deny that. So we'll see if we can take advantage of that. Combat wise, went into Egypt, took all that, which sucks, but we expected him to. 1 infantry and a bomber, no units lost, which is a dag. France took out the artillery there, took out the artillery or whatever we had in northwestern Europe, lost an infantry doing that. Bello lost 1 infantry, did take that. Conduct in Ukraine, destroyed an artillery, no units lost. So took back some territory here, which I'm assuming we should be able to take back next turn. We'll see. We will see. We'll be able to put some pressure on with the Russians, which is unique to be kind of putting the squeeze on with the Russians, which is what we'll try to do with them next turn. For the UK, this turn, we are going to stick with a purchase of 5 infantry, 1 artillery, fighter, and a bomber. So 4 of those units are going to go to England. We will send 1 of these transports to Canada. So we'll only have 2 here to pick up off the mainland next turn. And then we're going to send the other units and the fighter to India and the bomber into the UK. And we just need to get some fighters down here if we have any chance of wanting to survive. I think India will have at least 1 more turn, but if he wants India, he can take it next turn. He can drop all these guys, stack 3 transports here with about 5-6 units here in Burma. I don't know, maybe we can hold it. We'll have to see, but we have to try and fight back and fight for Africa. So a lot of these guys here will not be able to go to India this turn. But that's the idea. We'll get an extra fighter on the board. Go ahead and lock in that purchase. Combat wise, as I alluded to, I think we will try and do this. Now we are down a couple units here, but we may get lucky, so we'll go ahead and give it a shot. I'm going to send these 3 infantry into Burma. If we take the territory, great. If not, then we will retreat. If he hits 1 and we don't on our first try, we will simply retreat. Now I'm thinking we maybe can't do that, because if we hit and let's say he misses, we get all 3 of our infantry here,
He could then swing around and drop 2 infantry with all of his air, which is what, 3 fighters, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, land in Burma. So these 3 fighters could join. So it'd be those 3 fighters and the 2 units. I mean, he could take that. We're only gonna have 2 fighters, 2 units, if all 3 of those guys get pulled out. So my thought is maybe we don't do this, or if we do it, we just do the 2. No, I don't want to do it. We'll just sit there in India. That is fine. I thought about coming back and just hitting this fighter bomber here. We do get a shot with the cruiser, but it's only 2 infantry. I mean, if these were rolling 2s, I'd feel a little better about it. And my thought is we could use these. Maybe not. I mean, the transport would be nice to get over into England ASAP. Yeah, I'm gonna do that. We'll go ahead and keep these guys alive. We'll swing them around in the non-combat. So our combat then comes down to, do we want to try and hit one of these territories here, or possibly here, swing them up north. My initial thought is, why not? So with the US, we'd be able to drop on France. I'm assuming 4 units. Yeah, so 4 units. Can't use the fighter though, which sucks. We could use the bomber though. So we'll have 4 with the bomber. That'd probably be a no-brainer for us. And then we can drop these 2 units into northwest, is the idea. Let's drop the 1. We'll have 2 fighters on that and a battleship. That's beautiful. Can we get this guy to participate? Yep. I think that's everything for the UK. So really hoping Egypt goes well, so we can stem the tide. Though losing Egypt is not gonna lose us the game. We'll be able to get some American troops down there before we know it, but obviously do not want to deal with that. So let's hope for some good dice. That's a big one. Go for it. Oh, hold on. Alright, well, combat was okay. We did not take the territory, but I did get a little lucky. We pressed on with the 2 fighters versus the 1 tank. Honestly, I just felt that getting that tank and not allowing him to run through Africa is worth it. Now all he has is an infantry. We'll be able to hold that off. Be able to land some troops here in Morocco and whatever to take back that IPC. So I think that was a successful fight at the end of the day. We're able to stem the bleeding of Africa, potentially. We'll go ahead and move the fighters back to the carriers, the destroyers. These units will come back. We will send 1 transport to go get the Canadians. Americans will probably drop here next turn. We could probably drop another one in Morocco. We'll have to think about that if we have enough boats to support that. We shall see. These units will continue their swing towards Brazil. The cruiser, I mean, we don't really need it, but I guess we'll bring it in the Atlantic. At least combine it with the UK fleet there. Everything else will be as is. I don't think there's any other non-combat that is needed. Yeah, that'll do it. So we'll close the UK turn there. We will send the bomber to the UK, fighter. We'll send artillery, infantry. We'll have 4 infantry in the UK. And we'll close the UK turn with that mobilization. Only 30 IPC for the Brits. Quick peek at the score. Yeah, we're getting close to even, which is great. So that's a good result for us in round 2. If we could put any dent into this tank stack for the Germans, that attack power is going to go way down. So we'll see. We will see what he decides to do with Japan when we return. And the Axis in general. See you guys for the United States round number 2. United States round number 2. Take a look at what Japan did last turn. They bought 2 bombers. Okay. Then what, banked IPC? I mean, that's only 24. So then he probably has 44 IPC. I guess he's waiting to build and spend some of that on tanks in India. Maybe it's his logic, but okay. Maybe he's trying to use those bombers for India and didn't have enough to buy anything, but he's going to run out of land troops. He does not have enough land troops on the board, is my thought. But we will see if we can combat that. Aside from that, they, combat-wise, Szechuan Sinkang stepped into both of these, and they stacked Burma, as we thought. So we will need to retreat from India, but that's fine. I am not too worried about that. we should hopefully be able to knock out Germany, you know, between now and, you know, Japan really getting any serious threat on Moscow. So we'll see. We will see what we can do against the mighty Empire of Japan. For the U.S. this turn, I think we're blah, blah, blah. Our strategy is simple. We're just going to continue to load transports and get as many people into Europe as physically possible. So we'll buy 6 units, 2 transports, and we'll bank the 6 IPC for next turn. Maybe we can get a bomber or fighter or something like that. We have a transport coming up here from 19. And then these 3 transports I'm thinking I'm going to send to Morocco, and we won't have them likely to return next turn is my thought. Though, the more I think about it, yeah, they probably won't, right? We'll go north most likely. Or what we'll probably do is just send 2 transports down to Morocco and then send the 1 with the infantry AA gun north into Canada, so we don't need units to reload there. And then from here, I don't know, we'll have to decide. Do we just send... I mean, we're going to have to fight for this territory with the Americans, is my thought. But the British are also going to land here next turn. We could put those... I mean, they don't have to, but my thought is they were. What I'm trying to calculate is who's going to move through North Africa and take these territories, because we only have the 1 infantry here. Germany's going to be in Egypt next turn, so there's a chance that infantry dies as well. I mean, it doesn't hurt, so actually what I'll do is I'm going to add 2 infantry here, just in case I decide to send 1 transport back. They can meet in Canada, you know, from Morocco next turn. And if those 2 units just sit a turn, if we need both of those transports in France, for example, that'll be fine. We'll do that. All right, we'll lock in that purchase. 6 infantry, 2 artillery, 2 transports. Now combat move, we're gonna take these guys from Canada. These guys are gonna hit France. Ah, come on. They will come in and hit France. Bomber will join. Cruiser can join. We'll do that, beautiful. And then we will take artillery and an infantry. And then 2 infantry on 2 transports. Hit Morocco. There's 1 artillery, AA gun, 1 infantry. Can go north, or actually we'll actually have 2 infantry, so we actually won't need an AA gun, so that's fine. That will move into Canada next turn. These guys will come and land in 11 next turn. And then here in Asia, I think we will go ahead and hit potentially one of these, Sichuan or Sinkang. My thought is these 4 units can hit Sinkang, so as a result we should hit Sichuan. The only issue if we hit Sichuan is we'll have to land our fighter in Kazakh. 1, 2, 3, 4. And then, yeah, we'll just have to reinforce, but I think that's good. We'll at least be able to get some IPC for the Americans this turn, hopefully. No other combat for the Americans outside of that, so we'll lock that in and roll the dice, baby. All right, combat was good. Took all the territories we were hoping to. Send the bomber back to England. Fighter into Kazakh. We do need, I think we have plenty of boats, honestly, in this sea zone here. Yeah, we have 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, including a battleship. So that should be good against those 6 aircraft. Then we have just, what, a bomber? And maybe I send this here. The bomber that could hit us in 13, right? Can this guy fly? Yeah, we can load up that aircraft carrier. This transport goes north. These units come north. Send everything into Canada. Battleship comes to 12. Transport to 11. Destroyer 15. This fighter will go to Canada. I gotta remember he's got a destroyer here, but there's nothing I can do about it. So we'll have destroyer and then an aircraft carrier, 2 fighters. So that'll be 1, 2, 3, 4, and he can send bomber, destroyer at it. Yeah, I mean, we're just gonna have to take it at this point. That's the best we can do, and we should be able to hold that. And that'll do it for the US of A. So we will close our 9 combat. Go ahead and mobilize our additional transports and our 8 units in the eastern US. And then we will go ahead and focus on our Russian turn next. All right, so the Russians have 30 IPC. We already have our 3 fighters. And the obvious thought is to start building up a little bit of a tank corps. So if we did something like this, we could get 2 tanks and 6 infantry. I'm wondering if maybe this is the better route. 4 infantry, 3 artilleries, 1 tank. And we slowly do the tank build because I want to keep the pressure with the mass amounts of units. And I think that's what we'll do. So we'll lock in this purchase. Hopefully that made sense, right? I just think having the artillery is going to be critical and having more infantry because that's what Germany's not doing, right? So we just need to overwhelm them with literal numbers is my thought. That means we can send, we have 2 artilleries here, so we'll send 1 into each of these, and then my thought is to just hit both, right? So we send all 3 of these guys into Ukraine. We send these 4 into Bello. And then honestly, we can send tanks into each, though I just need to remember he has 11 tanks. But if he's going to throw all his tanks at us, he's going to need those guys to hit some of the territories around Germany. This looks good so far. Now, do I take these 2 guys and hit Baltic, or do we send them to go take Scandinavia? Let's go after Germany's throat. Send this 1 infantry here, we'll build 2 guys here, and then we can send 1 guy finally to go take that IPC. But I'm gonna basically ask Germany, what are you doing, bro? You gotta take France back, you gotta maybe take Northwest, and then you have all these territories you just lost to the Russians. What you gonna do? What you gonna do about that? Now the last thought here would be to hit these 2 units. We can do something like that maybe, or do we send all 4? Yeah, let's send all 4. And if he's gonna send these 3 guys that way, we'll sneak in through the center. Just to be annoying. We'll send at least 1 fighter to that. I think we'll just split these fighters up. Now that does mean the Baltic is potentially not a sure thing. We just have the infantry artillery. So maybe we send 1 fighter going to Bello here. Make sure we take that. It blocks the tanks from hitting Karelia. And then we can send a tank into Bello. Honestly, I think we'll send a tank into each of these. Just full pressure right now on Germany. All right, I like it. Max aggression by the Russians. They are pissed, and they are coming for Berlin. Let's lock it in. Alright, combat was okay. Took all the territories we wanted, so I will not complain. This guy has to go to Karelia. This 1 unit will come here. I'm wondering if I should put both the AA guns. Let's do this. Let's send them both to the bigger stack we have in Bello. He had a good defensive result in Ukraine, so if he's going to hit that, I'll let him do it. And I'm actually thinking we should probably bring the fighters here to West Russia and bring them in with these 3 infantry. Oh, that one has to go there, so it'll be 3 infantry and a fighter in West Russia. Yeah, this fighter will send back to Russia. Do we want to send? Maybe we split these guys. Let's send 1 infantry here and then the 2 there. We're obviously going to retreat from India, so that's clear there. These 3 guys. All right. I mean, wow, this is a girthy Russia. And hopefully we can take the Norwegian territory and Finland territory in the next 2 turns. That's going to do it for the Russians. I think we want to mobilize, say, we want these 2 artilleries to take back Ukraine. And 1 artillery, 1 infantry, and then everything else into Russia. I think that looks good to me. We'll close that. And actually, we won't close that, sorry. 1 here. Send 2 infantry there, and then 1 infantry here. Okay, I like it. We'll close that. I'll take a look at the score real quick. I assume we have a lead now. Yeah, we got about a 20-point attack power lead. That kind of reflects what I feel is the state of the board. You know, Germany is in crisis mode. You know, it's round 3, and if you have a map that looks like this, as the Germans, you do not feel great. So it'll be interesting to see what he does with his next turn. we'll review that when we see you guys back for UK, round number 3. UK, round number 3. Take a look at what Germany did. Went ahead and bought 1 fighter, 9 infantry, 1 artillery. So finally going with a big bulk infantry buy. Is it too little too late? Time will tell. We will see. Got another fighter though. So we have a little they now have a formidable, and already was formidable, but have rebuilt their air force, now has 7 units in range of our fleet. However, I do not see that being a major issue for us in regards to the fleet. Went ahead and took France back, lost infantry tank, took northwest, lost infantry, stepped into Egypt, and that is about it. Didn't take any of the territory back from the Russians, and is holding up is Germany. We will continue to do everything we can to put the pressure on, which purchase-wise means we're going to reload the 3 transports we have here in the Atlantic. So we'll have 6 units for England. We are going to retreat out of India, but just to be annoying, I'm going to put 3 infantry here. And the reason I want to do that is simply if he decides to hop these transports into 34 and then hit Persia, just requires maybe a little bit of calculus, though it probably won't matter. I think he could do both. He could hit with the air and what he has here in Persia and also take India. If he does that, so be it. I'm hoping we'll be able to take a lot of guys with us is the general strategy, and we'll have to just hold off Japan. But he's not building any units in the mainland. If he does that, that's more units, pulling the transports even further away from Japan. So he then will just be building 3 units a turn in India. Maybe he buys an IC then for Manchuria or something. I don't know. Japan doesn't have, great prospects in the next near-term turns to put any pressure on anyone. So I think this is just a way to be extra annoying. So we'll get 3 infantry for India, lock in the purchase, and then we'll try to map out our combat here. To start, I do think we are going to go ahead and hit Egypt with everything we have. The fighters will then have to land in either Anglo-Egyptian Sudan or Transjordan. We will figure out what to do with that after the combat. Now landings, I don't think we need to worry about Scandinavia. The Russians will take care of Scandinavia, which means we are going to be looking to drop units in Northwest and France, is my assumption. Do we have any thoughts of trying to stack France? That answer is no. My thought is we just want to try and spread this out as much as we can. So maybe we do a little light attack into Northwestern Europe, go heavy into France, and then the Americans will all hit France as well. That sounds as good of a plan to me as any. So we will send all 4 of these guys onto these 2 transports. We'll send 1 there. I'll probably want to send the tank there, to be honest, even though I don't want the tank to die. But let's at least start with this. Maybe this is what we do. And then we send tank infantry into France. And we send bomber into France, and then 2 fighters into Northwest. Battleship into Northwest, cruiser into France. So we're giving ourselves a roll advantage in Northwest with the bomber and the battleship, because it has the 2 infantry. We'll send the extra aircraft there as well. We have the 4 land units with just the bomber. Or I guess I kind of mixed that up, but you get it. We're sending 2 fighters into Northwest to give us a better chance versus the 1 bomber. We'll send the battleship because it'll be helpful. I like that a lot. We'll hit Egypt. We obviously will not hit Burma. And that will do it for all our combat. So we'll lock that in. Jesus. Come on. Of course. Thank you. Did this one go smoothly? That sucks. Alright, well, combat was not great. I'm not gonna lie. We want to make sure the fighters go onto the aircraft carrier. But we lost 3 units in France. We lost both the units in Northwest. Did not take the territory. However, we didn't take a hit in Egypt. So Egypt is ours and Africa is ours, which is awesome. Now I think these, unfortunately, all should just land together. Is Persia safe? That is the closest to getting back into the battle. Yeah, I think Persia's safe. So nothing can hit us in Persia. No, like, fleet of... or actually, no. it's not, because he can actually land. Gosh darn it. Yeah, I was just doing air, but he can drop 6 units here. While we're here, let's move these guys into Persia. This is Transjordan. I don't know if I've been misnaming that this whole time. I mean, I guess they're actually equally vulnerable in both of these for that reason. So 34, the C zone, which is not being blocked. All right, well, I'm thinking we'll send 2 to French West Africa. Well, this is not French West Africa. Equatorial Africa. We'll send the 1 into Anglo-Egyptian Sudan, so that if he does try to hit that, at least we don't lose all 3. We'll leave this stack open for him to hit, unfortunately. And then these 2, if he does decide to even hit this and then hit that, or whatever he decides to do, at minimum these 2 will be able to go land on the carrier here next turn. We can figure out something else with these for these 2 fighters to do. This boat here, I believe the Americans will be leaving C Zone 13, so I think putting them into 10 is probably best. We'll take these 2 infantry, bring them up to Canada. They will look to drop somewhere next turn. We will send our sub here in the Pacific up to 63. And actually, I'm wondering, I think we'll do 64. I think it hides better in 64. And it can still 1, 2 into both of these, which is the whole point. Maybe he'll lose sight of it up there. All right, that's it for the UK. We'll close our non-combat. We'll mobilize 3 infantry into India, and then everything else into the UK here. And that will do it for the UK. Yeah, it's a little unfortunate that turn did not go as planned. It would be real nice to have Northwestern Europe and force him to send, 2 units there and some fighters or whatnot. But this isn't a result I don't think we can come back from. I mean, Germany looks like it's near its last legs, right? It's not going to be next turn or the turn after, but all odds are pointing towards us being able to take Germany within the next handful of rounds, assuming we don't just get some horrendous dice or make just a horrific blunder by leaving our fleet undefended or something, and he can wipe out 12 transports. I think that's kind of what it would take, to be honest. So we'll see. We'll see how it goes. We'll see what Japan does, see if they can get some pressure on us. They're next to go. So we'll recap their turn when we return for the United States, round number 3. Here we go. The United States, round number 3. You can see Japan went ahead and took both of the spots. We had British troops in the last turn. Let's go ahead and hop into what Japan did. Japan purchased a bomber, 2 ICs, which is not all that crazy, to be honest. So we're going to have our hands full with Japan very, very soon. So he has a big bomber fleet going now. 3 bombers. He's got, 4 bombers now. He's got 5 fighters. Yeah, he's got quite a formidable air force, and it's only going to be a couple turns till Japan has a lot of pressure on the ground through India, the other IC he put into Kwangtung, and then Manchuria. Went north with these 2 infantry. He's going to steal that Russian IPC. And looks like he stepped into Anhui here. I think he already had 1 unit in Szechuan, and then stepped hard onto Persia. Same thing into India, and those guys are coming. So for the Americans, we will continue to just focus at the moment. I don't believe, there's been no traction on Japan going against our Western United States territories, which is great because we can fully focus on trying to get Germany out of the game. Purchase-wise for the US, I believe we can do something like this. 2 transports, 8 infantry, 2 artilleries. The idea is we're going to send 1 transport from 13 back to 11, so we'll need 2 units to pick them up there. 1 transport will go drop 2 guys in France. We'll have 2 other units continue their way to grab this IPC in Africa. We'll have this 1 transport hit northwest, which means we'll have 2 transports in 8 that need to pick up units in 10 the following turn. So that's another 4. So now that's 6 of our 10 units covered. Then we'll buy 2 transports. We'll create another 4 units for those 2 transports. These 3 will move into 10. Hopefully you're able to follow that. Too long, don't read. We're buying transports. We're reloading transports. And that will be the extent of our purchase this round. Go ahead and lock that in. We will send 2 infantry through Africa. We will take these 2, land them in northwest. Bomber has nothing to do, so we will go ahead and bomb Germany. These 2 infantry will be non-commed. This will be a non-comm to 11. Everything else will be non-comm. That is it for combat, so we'll lock that in. Alright, bomber survived. We did 4 IPC damage, which is great. We'll go ahead and send the bomber back to England. We will move all of the boats into... I think we're moving all our boats here. We'll actually need to kind of think about that. So let me do the transport movement first. 1, 2, 1 transport to France, 1 transport back. The only reason to move some guys into Morocco would be to threaten these territories. At the moment, we can't do that. We cannot swing into the Med. We don't have enough against the 7 aircraft he has here, and then obviously the Japanese are sitting here on the Suez doorstep, ready to swing that fleet into the Med. So we need to try and prevent that if at all possible, which means we'll probably have to hit this stack with the Russians. But for the point of the Med play not working, these 4 fighters. So I don't think moving or keeping any boats here in 13 makes sense as a result of that. We just will not have a play there in the near future. So we'll move those transports up, those units up. This fighter is going to come to England. I messed that up, didn't I? Ah, darn it. Yep, I think we're going to have some extra transports next turn that are empty. That's a bummer. I did not calculate that correctly. That's okay. Well, it's not ideal, but it's okay. We'll consolidate everything into Sea Zone 8. So battleship and all these boats in 13 will head into 8. Destroyer, swing around 18. All right, and that'll do it for the Americans, I think. It's, oh, well, we probably want to move this guy, don't we? Yeah, we'll probably want to get this fighter closer to the fray with the Americans. Probably going to be safe in Karelia, right? And that will officially do it for the U.S. So let's hope I didn't miss anything in this total shit show. of spaghetti here in the middle Atlantic. We will go ahead and put 2 transports in all of our units here in the eastern US. And then we will go ahead and pivot our attention to the Russians. My thought with the Russians is to potentially get another fighter. And then what, this would be artillery and 6. We get 4 and 2. I feel like we'll need the extra fighter will be really, really nice for us. Yeah, I like that. We'll get an extra fighter, so we'll have 4 fighters now with the Russians, 6 infantry, 1 artillery. We'll lock that in. We know we're going to send 1 infantry into Finland. Now what's nice here is we actually have the option to just blitz these territories and just say, you know what, we'll trade these with you if that's really what you want to do as the Germans, because I'm worried we are going to have to pivot our focus towards Japan. So stepping in with these units, I think we'll eventually need them to, what do you call it, trade, you know, as Germany pushes out here, because I think we need to commit bodies towards Japan. Now, one immediate thought here was to send these 6 units into Persia, and then we have 2 fighters that could hit from there. And he's got 5 units, and obviously all his air coming up behind, so I don't think I want to sack the tanks in that play, or 1 tank, I should say, in that play. And I'll probably step back with these 3, send them back into Kazakh, just see what he does with his ICs that are building here. This fighter can join 1, 2, 3, and then land in Caucasus. I think I'm fine with that. We have a couple units we can all move into Caucasus to cover that fighter, and that should be pretty good for us there. Then we'll blitz these, we'll take that. Yeah, I think this is good. I don't think we need to overextend ourselves right now with the Russians. Let's just take that IPC. We'll take out this stack, a couple tanks here, and then we'll retreat and let Japan try to build up before Japan can really get going. I'm not saying I'm letting Japan do anything, but I don't think we're in a position we can push hard at Japan. Let's lock in the combat and see how it goes. All right, combat was good. Neither of us could really hit in Persia, but I think that's good for us. We'll send our 2 fighters, or 3 fighters into Persia. We'll send these 3 units back into Kazakh. I do think I want to consolidate, some of our forces here. So what I'm going to do is send this artillery back. We'll send an extra infantry down here to keep those kind of equal. We'll send a couple more units. We'll send 2 more down. That means we'll send an additional infantry there. I think we'll leave the tank. Well, again, it's going to be at least a turn for the tank. So let's send him here. A turn for the tank, meaning until maybe we want to hit Evenki. So we can at least reposition him next turn if he, the following turn, Japan steps into Evenki. And I think we'll do 1 infantry into Ukraine, and then these other 2 will come into Caucasus. This one will go into Kazakh. Then we're going to build in Karelia, Caucasus, and whatever's remaining in Moscow. The 1 infantry in Baltic. Yeah, this is good. Just reinforcing our main line here. If Germany does move into either of these, we'll have a chance to take those back, hopefully. I mean, we are leaving it open. He can send 7 tanks and all of his air at one of us here. And the more I'm kind of saying that, I'm wondering if I should block, because that's a pretty good fight for him, and he's got enough infantry. You could do the infantry here. What to do? Let's do it. We'll just send 1 into each of these. We have some guys reinforcing all these. Then we'll split these AA guns. And actually, I'm wondering if we're going to want the AA guns in a place like the Caucasus, the more I think about it. So I'm going to send both of them into Ukraine, because Japan's coming. We'll probably need these against Japan to hold Caucasus or Kazakh at some point, so we'll start swinging those that way. And that will officially do it for our Russian turn. So we'll lock that in, mobilize our units. We'll send 2 infantry to Karelia, the other 4, well, 3, and an artillery, and then fighter, infantry into Moscow. Yeah, I like that a lot. Close that. And another nice 36 IPC, which is amazing for the Russians. But the general game, yeah, we got a sizable lead still. Japan's obviously got a little momentum going. 3 ICs going is going to be something we have to deal with, but hopefully we have enough time to get Germany by then. They're down to 10, 13, 15, 16, 17, 18 IPC. Is that right? And obviously they'll take a lot of this back, so they'll probably get close to 30 in payment next turn, but we'll hopefully be able to hit on everything. Anything he takes, we just hit right back. Anything he takes, we just hit right back. And eventually we'll have enough to stack France, or, I mean, that's the goal, right? Is to stack France or something else. Some other opportunity will present itself. And our opponent's already going. So we'll cut this here. We'll see you guys back probably very shortly for UK round 4. And we're back already. UK round number 4. Germany last turn was pretty straightforward. Very short turn for him. He purchased a fighter, 4 infantry, 2 artilleries, repaired the 4 IPC damage on his IC we did, and combat-wise, he just hit Northwest, France, and Bulgaria, Romania. And that was all he did. Bought another fighter, which is interesting to me. I don't think buying fighters right now is kind of the plan, or what you should be doing. I think you need more infantry, but to each their own. I'm curious, the IPC they took home last turn was 28, but we will be able to go ahead and take some of that back here. Libya will take Norway, so those will be some territories they cannot take back going forward, which will be great. And we got quite a bit of money for the UK, which is awesome. Even though we lost India, or actually, what was our production going to be? Oh, yeah, actually now we're down to 27. Quite a bit, because I think we had France last turn. If we can continue to trade France with the UK, we'll be just fine in regards to continuing to build troops. So priority number 1 is obviously Japan. What we're going to do is reload our now 4 transports. So we'll have the 2 units from Canada that are going to land with the units from the UK, meaning we need 8 units, or 7, let's say, but 7 or 8 to reload here. All right, my immediate thought here, 7 land units. We get 5 infantry, 2 artilleries, and then we buy a bomber. And then we'll bank the 2 IPC, and then we'll go ahead and hit France. But I think the bomber will be very helpful. So we'll go ahead and lock that purchase in, and then I think we're going to hit France. So like I was just saying, I think getting France with the with the who's-you-call-its. The British will be... I cannot talk and play this damn game at the same time. It seems easy, but I swear it's not. But getting France as the UK is ideal. So I think we're going to send everything we have at them. Northwest will be a second option. We'll send, honestly, I think we'll just send everything. I don't think we need to worry about bombing just yet with the British. We'll bring this cruiser down. That'll participate. We'll have 3 boats hitting, 2 fighters, a bomber, and then 8 land units. We should be able to take that very easily. And because these American units have nowhere to go, I'll let them take the territory here. Then we'll go ahead and send... Or do I want to just give this IPC to the British? It's doing anything, so yeah, we'll just take that. I'll take the extra IPC for the British. Actually, no, I changed my mind. I mean, we're limited. We only have 8 development spots right now, so extra IPC is not actually going to help us too much. We can actually do more with extra IPC with the Americans. So that's the plan there. Our fighters in Africa have nothing to do. We need to get them back into the fray. And that's going to be it for UK combat. So we'll lock it in, and we'll see if we can take Paris. All right, we were successful in taking Paris. We lost 2 units, which is awesome. We can certainly withstand a counterattack, or hopefully do quite a bit of damage. What we do with the Americans will be very interesting, because we have the option to bang these 8 units. And how many fighters would we have in range? Not a ton, unfortunately. So we're not quite ready to stack France, but we probably want to line up a shot to try and do that. So we'll have 10 units coming next turn. We can drop 7 plus 10. And I mean, eventually, he's not buying enough infantry to really do much here. And we'll continue to hit, make him try to hit these and trade these territories with the Russians if he wants any chance to make any money. But either way, that will be something we need to try and figure out next turn. I'm thinking we will have fighters will be good to participate. 1, 2, 3. Yeah, probably if we can get them to Ukraine, great. I think we actually want to then, these 2 actually need to not land on the carrier, because these 2 will. And then we will send these 2 to England. And from Ukraine, 1, 2, 3, we can land this guy on a fighter and swap those out next turn. So we can get even more air into the Western Europe, which is what we want. And I'm pretty sure that's going to be it for our non-combat. All right, so we'll go ahead and close our non-com. We'll mobilize our bomber and 2 artillery and 5 infantry into the England. And then we will see you guys back for United States, round number 4. All right, we are back. I have a different mic headset set up here. I was having some issues with my other mic. Glad I got ahead of it in testing. So hopefully this is a little easier on everyone's ears. We're here for the United States, round number 4. So let's take a look at what Japan did last turn. Oh, here's a quick update on the score. I always do this. We got a 20 attack power advantage after the Japanese turn. Last turn, Japan bought 5 tanks, 1 infantry, 2 artilleries. I can't say I'm too shocked with that. Just given the way this game's going, I think he's going to buy nothing but tanks and bombers and hope he can break through and do something with that. So I imagine that'll be a consistent purchase over the next couple rounds. We have a battle in Egypt. They took the undefended territory, moved their... Oh, I guess they must have jumped with the transport. Stepped into Sinkang, stepped into the Soviet Far East. Yakut, I took both those. Then Persia, lost infantry, artillery, destroyed 2 infantry, 2 artilleries. Then Transjordan, Japan won but failed to take the territory, destroyed infantry, lost a bomber. Interesting. So he sent the 1 bomber at Persia or Transjordan, which I'm really curious his logic there. Is that so that he can take Transjordan next turn and then bring this fleet into the Med? I mean, that's the only thing I can think of. Why would you risk a bomber on a single infantry? I guess his thought is next turn he'll hop into Transjordan here and take that. However, I do think between now and then, 1, he won't be able to use this next turn. We can stack quite a few units here in Persia, and he's not going to have a lot to hit us. So we'll have to do the math there. We could get 4, 8, 9,
10, 11 land units into Persia with the Russians, and we might do that. And at that point, then we'd have the option to just take Transjordan back, because I don't think he'll only have, what, 3 units, 2 fighters, 2 bombers. So that's what, 6 total units. That's not gonna do it. That's not gonna do it. Where are all his other aircraft? I could have swore he had more. Oh, duh. Okay, I was like, what? Am I going crazy? We'd have to, I guess, check to make sure these fighters and the bomber in Berlin cannot come and hit us here, which I'm assuming the bomber can, but the fighters can't. Either way, we'll think about that with the Russian turn. That's kind of it for Japan. Looks like they're trying to squeeze this fleet into the Med. I do think we need to try and stop that at all cost. That will just make things complicated. And obviously him flying these fighters into Berlin make our chances to get Berlin a little less likely over the next couple turns. But in the long run, I think we're fine. We'll see if I'm right. But that starts with our purchase and what we want to do with the Americans. And I think our purchase is very simple. We are going to just continue to put the pressure on. We need to be dropping 10 units a turn. So purchase for the US. I think our plan's pretty simple. We're going to continue to put pressure on Western Europe. I do think I misspoke in a previous turn about miscounting with the transports here in C-Zone 10. I think we can get all of this into France. Or, all 5 of these, fully loaded, get the 2 AA guns into France. I mean, that'll be fun to just see if we can get lucky and start taking out a few of the aircraft he has here as the Germans. So that means we'll have these 5 going down, and then these 3 and these 2 will pick up these 10. So we'll have another 10 units we need to reload with these 5 transports. I think going 6 to, I mean, honestly, maybe something like that. The other thought is then obviously to get a bomber. I mean, obviously we can do this and then get a fighter instead. The fighters will be nice if we get the chance to stack. And as the Americans, we only have, what, these 4 fighters here. All that said, I think the extra IPC for the Americans will go into the fighter. That way we have a somewhat balanced act here with the infantry artillery. The fighter will be helpful if we ever look to stack France. And we'll lock that purchase in. Now for attacks, I do think we're going to hit Northwest here. We're going to hit it kind of light. We're going to hit it with 1 transport. So we'll send the 2 units in there, and then we're going to send every aircraft we have. Oh my god, this is going to be a nightmare trying to click things in here. These 2 fighters, we can then bombard with these. And now the question then is the bomber, do I just continue to just bomb Germany when I'm not using those? I mean, I really don't need it. I'm either going to take a hit back or 2 or not, right? So the bomber's probably not going to help. That's a little overkill. We'll go ahead and bomb Germany. 2. We can actually have this fighter attack Northwest as well. And we don't want to forget these 2 infantry. We'll send these guys here. But I think this is it for combat. I don't think we have any Americans, in the Middle East or Asia. We'll go ahead and lock in this combat and roll the dice. Alright, combat was good. Bombers survived. Took 1 hit in Northwest, but we took the territory, which is awesome. We'll get everyone back onto these boats. Fighters go onto the carriers. The others go into England. And now I want to go ahead and move these transports that can come back. Get all these up here before I forget. The destroyer, I guess, can go into 10. Alright, now these units here are going to non-com. Alright, actually, I messed this all up. This is actually more difficult. I need to cancel all the movement until we get these these transports out of Canada. And we will get all 4 of these to drop their 8 units into France. Now we can move these units up. Move these. And then the 2 transports from here. All other boats stay in C-Zone 7 or 8 or whatever this is. C-Zone 8. That is all our non-com. Oh, this guy I canceled. Alright, we'll send you tonight. Whatever. And that is it for the Americans, I think, for this turn. We got all the fighters in England and onto the carrier, and we're good. All right, close that. We'll mobilize everything in the eastern U.S. Then we will go ahead and take our turn with the Russians. All right, so at this point with the Russians, what is our strategy? I mean, is our strategy to push, try to get India? I mean, that would be pretty crazy. We know he's going to be just blitzing tanks. That's all he's going to be doing. I don't think me kind of matching that is the correct approach. So we're going to get 2 units for Karelia. I think honestly we'll want another 1, 2, 3, 4 for the Caucasus. That leaves us 15 to play with. Because one thought I honestly had was to just get another fighter and just keep stacking fighters and infantry. And then we'll just be ready to punch, you know, whatever tanks. Like, as long as we have like a unit on the front line, you know, across the entire front line, what is he going to do? What are these tanks going to do? Nothing is the answer. So that means we could do this. Kind of balance out the Caucasus and Karelia, and then we can get 2 more infantry along with the fighter for Moscow. I like that a lot. So 6 infantry, 2 artillery, and a fighter. Let's just keep stacking fighters while we can. But we'll bank the fighter now while we can. So we will be up to, what, 5 fighters with the Russians? I don't know if I've ever had 5 fighters with the Russians. That's just the honest truth. I don't think I ever have. Now, combat. I believe our combat's going to be pretty easy. So we will take Norway. We're going to hit this stack here. So that means sending probably all 3 of these infantry, unfortunately, right? Try to make them take the territory. We'll have some infantry coming down here. I mean, we could add this infantry to be safe. I think we have 3 fighters that could participate, and then we'll just kind of roll all these guys down. I think that's good. And now the question is, do we just hit Persia hard? And I think that answer is yes. So what could we get into Persia? Let's just say I send 3 here to keep a unit in Kazakh, just to make that a little annoying if he decides to try and take it. And we send all 4 of these guys down. All the tanks that can hit. That's going to get us 10 there. And then again, he can only hit with 3. 3 bombers is 6, and then 7, 8. And then he can also do some bombardments by using the 2 battleships here. Is that stupid? I mean, he only has 3 or maybe 4 land units. I think I should be able to get through that and get into the fighters and the bombers, and that would be a win. And as I mentioned, I think I have to do this now because we need to be in a position to take Transjordan to stop this fleet from going into the Med. Well, I guess I don't have to worry about that because the Americans would take Egypt back. So all we do need to do is just take this, and the Americans could take that next turn. Okay, I kind of like that. I want to take this a little slower because I don't think we need to risk losing a fat stack to some bad rolls. So instead, we'll take this kind of light. We'll do it with units predominantly from the Caucasus, I believe. Send 2 infantry. We'll send 1 more infantry. And then, let's see, we want 2 fighters into the south, fighter here. And I kind of want to hit these 2. And this is honestly just to take units off the board. So if we were to do that, actually, then I can't send 2 fighters that way. We'll send 1 fighter that way. And then we'll send 1 fighter into each of these. And then just send 1 infantry. Because I'm not really concerned with taking the territory. I just want to give us a chance to take the infantry. Oh, and we have an extra fighter here. Who should probably hit Persia, shouldn't he? Actually, I don't think I have a fighter in Persia. Yeah, I don't. Okay, so that answers that question. All right, I think this is good. I think this will do. It's a little thin, a little everywhere. I mean, a little everywhere. It's thin everywhere, but I think this is probably the right approach. I don't think we need to get too crazy just yet. We'll take another turn to get another fighter, get some more infantry on the board. We'll go ahead and roll the dice. Come on. Alright, well, I mean, overall, combat was pretty good. I can't complain. We unfortunately did not get a hit in Sinkang, and he did, so we had to retreat.
I don't think we took any hits anywhere else, and that is obviously good. So we have a nice 4 infantry in Bulgaria and Romania now, and we'll be able to kind of spread this out over the coast of Germany here, the border of Germany, I should say. So we'll have a unit in each of those. This 1 infantry will come down, and we'll kind of shimmy these. We'll leave 1 there, but we'll send 2 artilleries here, and then we'll actually send an infantry from the Caucasus there, AA guns into Caucasus. So 1 infantry we'll send down into Kazakh, and it'll be a turn, and we got to turn around probably next turn, start to deal with those sneaky Japanese coming through the northern pass. And I think I want to take all of the tanks, put them all in the Caucasus. Yeah, I think that'll do it. So we'll close the Russian turn there. We'll have fighter into, whatchamacallit, 1 artillery into each of those, 1 infantry, and then we'll put the rest of our infantry there, and then 2 more in Russia. Beautiful. Absolutely love it. Take a look at the score. Man, beautiful. Another 36 IPC for the Russians. Yeah, we just got so much money. 5 fighters is insane. This isn't what I want. And the score, yeah, we got about a 60-point attack power lead now. Just got to figure out how to kind of crack the final nut. I'm obviously assuming it'll be on Germany, but quite a lot of fighters and quite a lot of tanks in Germany. So we'll have to do some math there on what our options are. But I imagine we'll be able to break through over the next round or 2. We'll see if I'm right. We'll see you guys back for UK round number 5. All right, here we go. United Kingdom round number 5. Take a look at what Germany did last turn. Looks like we had a successful turn on the surface. He bought 8 infantry, 1 artillery. Combat-wise, he hit France. He also hit Northwestern Europe, took that back. Let's look at what he did in France here. So defenders lost 8 infantry, not good. Germany retreated. The attackers lost a fighter, 2 infantry. So we had a horrendous dice. And we hit a fighter with the AA gun, but we had how many units rolling there? 8 plus, what, 4? So we had 12, and we only got 2 hits. That sucks. That's about half of what we should have got. We should have got probably at least 2 more, I think would have been the statistical average. But it does do one thing, him retreating and not trying to take the territory, which I honestly am not sure why he didn't do it. He had plenty of units, it looks like. Yeah, I mean, I guess he really was trying to preserve the tanks, I guess. He's worried we would have got into the tanks. Very strange, because it gives us a chance to build a IC, and I think that's what we're going to do with the UK. I just need to do the math. If we don't hit either of these territories, do we have enough to hold France from everything that he could hit us with? So let's take a quick look at that, because we will need to know before purchasing or setting our purchase if we're going to build an IC or not. The more I'm just thinking about this, my gut's telling me that we don't need to do that. I think the opportunity to drop another IC will be there next turn, and it isn't critical to us taking Germany to do that, because what I am seeing is the option to take Northwest, the option to take Italy, and the option to take Southern Europe, and then Germany is literally surrounded. And we still will have a very big stack here. We will still have the 4 guys plus 10, 14 plus, 2 or 4 more units here. We'll still have 18 units there. He's not going to have enough to hit it. But I don't want to risk turning the IC over. And maybe it's not even a risk. Honestly, maybe we just hit them all. Do we just do them all? Drop 2 units there. Go infantry, artillery into Italy. And we have the air to support all that. So we'd basically be taking 4 units out of our defense of France. And if we did that, then it's more like 60%, but that's if he takes hits on all his fighters and bombers. Yeah, I don't think building an IC is the right play right now. We'll do it next turn. We're not at risk of losing this game. In my humble opinion, we are not at risk of losing this game, so we'll just continue with what the typical strategy has been. We'll do this, bomber. Fill up the transports, get a bomber. We'll call it a day. So hopefully that logic kind of makes sense. I just don't think getting the IC here is critical to our success. And we have an option to really put the squeeze on Germany here. We can bring this fighter to Italy. Now I do want to drop at least 1 transport with these two into one, into there. Bring at least 1, 2 fighters. We can have the battleship, the cruiser, and then I'm thinking of splitting the fighters. We'll probably keep this here because I do want to hold France another turn. And then do we bomb? I mean, we're going to lose a bomber. We'll probably lose both, I bet. We'll go ahead and bomb Germany, though. All right, that's going to do it for UK attacks. We'll lock this in. Hope for some good dice. Oh my god. Wow. All right, well, combat was great. Almost incredible, except we took a lot of hitbacks. But we had 2 6s hit on the bombing in Germany. This thing's down to -14. And Germany has 17 IPC. So what he needs to spend 5 to build 1 unit. So that's 12. And then he needs to spend, and then he's like to 8, and then 1 to 6. So he can build. He's gonna build like 3 or 4 infantry next turn. Oh man, that is a total kick in the nuts if you are the German player. All right, let's make sure we get all these back. You 3, go back to England. And then is there only one with 1? Oh, I see now. I see. So we do have to drop 1 fighter in France. Okay, whatever. It'll just be 1. This guy will go to here. And then where is the fighters that I landed here? We need 1 to go there. 2 to go there. Bombers back to England. These are all in the proper territories. All right, all that's good. Let's make sure we don't forget these dudes. They will non-com into France. And I literally think that's it. It's just everything is happening within 2 or 3 tiles of each other right now. The entire game is coming down to this 3-4 tile cube, or it's not a cube, it's a square. Gotta need to get my dimensional count correct. It's all happening right here in this little square around Germany. So that will do it for the UK. We will go ahead and mobilize. Go ahead and throw bomber, 2 artilleries, 5 infantry into England. And we will see you guys back for United States round number 5. United States round number 5. Japan last turn bought another IC, dropped that into Egypt. 5 infantries, 1 tank, 2 artilleries, spread all around the additional ICs across Asia and India. Combat continued their spread through the northern territories here, consolidated their 5 tanks here in Szechuan, took Novo, Union of South Africa, dropped a transport and a single unit down there. Persia, Japan won, took the territory, lost 1 infantry, 1 artillery, and a fighter. Wow, for the 4 units that I had there. So he had the chance to retreat, but he really wanted that IPC. Probably to block the tanks, maybe. Libya destroyed 2 infantry, lost a fighter. Wow. So he sent the fighters and the bomber at this. 2 infantry, the 2 American infantry, so he can secure his IC. And I think the infantry that was here was the one that went here. That's my guess. So Japan's making the game a little complicated. And I think this sets us up for one thing. Next round, we're going to take our shot at Germany. He's at -14 on his IC. He has 17 IPC. So he's only able to build like 3 or 4 units. We'll do 1 more load up with the US and with the Russians. And then we'll set up for a 3-round punch. All right, you know, to be honest, I kind of half started calculating, and I don't have the energy to kind of go through and try to figure this out. But I do think the plan is going to stay the same for 1 more turn. And we'll see where we stand with the British, because a lot of the, well, I don't know, how much, thump we're going to have, right? I don't know what he's going to do with the units he has in Germany now. Is he going to hit France hard? I don't know. But either way, we're not going to divert course. We're going to load up one more round of 10 units for these 5 transports that we're planning to drop in France. And we can always pivot, but we'll do this, stick with this strategy for one more turn. Then we'll turn around, we'll address what's going on in Africa if we need to. So to do that, we're going to do an American purchase of 6 infantry, 1 artillery, and 3 tanks. That will load us up on the next turn. We'll bank the 3 IPC, go ahead and lock that in. And I don't think we have any combat. The only option would be to bomb. And I will go ahead and do that. We'll see if we get lucky, avoid another shot. We're due, so I'm knocking on wood because I think I just jinxed us, but we're due for him to finally roll 1 there, I think. We'll lock in the bomb raid. We'll see how it goes. All right, bombing raid was very successful. Did 4 more additional IPC damage, meaning he's gonna have to spend 9 just to get him to a point to build 1 unit, which leaves him 8. So he could build 2 units next turn. That's great. I mean, that's amazing for us. Now let's make sure we don't mess up our shuck of our troops here. We're gonna get these 10 guys into France. I think we have all of our units here in France. I love that. That's great. Now he only has the 7 aircraft that can hit us. And I'm thinking we should land all of our American fighters in France because we have more than enough here to fight off 7 fighters. 13 boats with the 2 fighters, 2 of those battleships. That should be plenty. Bomber can maybe hit, but these fighters, yeah, cannot. So we will land all American fighters in France. And I'm just going, because look, he can't do it. He can't hit France. So I'm really wishing I built a goddamn IC there last turn. But he can only build 2 infantry, so he needs everything to hit France. I don't even have to run the numbers. I can just tell by looking at the general numbers here. We have 14 units coming in. He has, and we already have, what, 6, 7 there, plus a couple AA guns. He'd have to send everything. He'd have to send absolutely everything, and he'd probably have a very low chance to be successful. And if he does that, we're going to sweep around and hit Japan where it hurts. Hit Germany where it hurts with the British and the 2 units and the 1 fighter he has left. So that's the idea there. We'll actually have some reinforcements too. So we'll be fine in the Atlantic. All right, we cannot forget to move these 5 transports back. Yeah, that's going to do it for the US. So we'll close our combat and our non-combat. And we'll go up and go ahead and reload. One last, banger of 10 units there. A couple big heavies. A couple girthy tanks coming in that next batch. Now the Russians. So I think with the Russians, we need to kind of pivot and focus our attention on if we're not going to be successful in taking out Germany. And that means we're going to buy a bunch of artillery and a bunch of infantry. So let's just quickly... Wow, we can go bang out 12 of these right now. It's probably a really good balance, to be honest. I like that. We'll lock that in. 8 infantry, 3 artilleries. Just gives us a little bit of a kick. It gets us as many bodies as we can get onto the front line here that we can. All right, so here's what we're gonna do. 3 infantry, 3 tanks. We're going after the stack of 5 tanks. You're gonna leave these exposed. By all means, I'm gonna hit it. He has these 2 infantry and a suite of fighters and bombers I think he can hit with. I'm fine with it. I'll trade some of that for those fighters. We'll wait to see, and actually, yeah, we can put fighters on that. So we need to get all our fighters into Caucasus because we're gonna do one thing here. We're send all 4 of these units here. Everything else we're gonna non-com on the border of Germany, from Belo, from Ukraine, and from Karelia. Additional combat, we got 1 unit down here. So let's just slowly map this out. We'll send 2 there. I wanna send 2 units here. Send a fighter at them. He's got 1 infantry coming there. That's fine. Doesn't matter. And we'll obviously want at least 1 fighter here. And then I'm inclined to send the 3 at the tanks. Everything else is going to be non-com. We'll go ahead and lock this in. See how the dice go. That's brutal, dude. That's fucking brutal. Come on, dude. All right, well, we got some bad dice in Szechuan. We lost all 6 of the units that we sent. I mean, I guess maybe it's not bad dice. It's probably maybe about average. But I was hoping we'd take the territory. But hey, we didn't lose any fighters. That is very, very important because these guys might be, you know, the final nail in the coffin on hitting Germany next turn. I think all the combat was good in the other territories. Took Persia, took Novo. So I'm not going to complain about that. Now we'll want to rearrange some of these troops, and here is what I am thinking. So we are going to send these units here into Poland, these units here into Southern Europe, these units in Karelia into Baltic. This guy can start his way back, and then we will have a pretty girthy wall of 4, 7, 10, a little more than that, probably like what, 12, 13, 14 units, and then the 5 fighters, 1, 2, 3. Yeah, and I'm not seeing a world where they will be able to survive next turn, especially with all that damage on the IC. I think Germany, time is limited. I'll just leave it at that. That's going to do it for the Russians. Go ahead and close our turn there. And we will mobilize. Let's see, 1 infantry, artillery into Karelia. Keep that train going. I think we'll want the artillery here. We'll fill this out, and then we'll send all other infantry to Russia. And that'll do it. We'll lock it in. All right. Let's take a look. Oh, man. 37 IPC for Germany. Or Germany, for Russia. Jesus, how many times am I just going to misname these countries? Hopefully you guys are able to stay with me. How confusing I am. But that's probably the most IPC I've ever personally been able to procure with the Russians. 37. And we've lost North Asia or Eurasia, Northeast Eurasia. This is a very, very allied-friendly map. I don't see a way. Yeah, I mean, there's no way Germany survives next turn. So Germany will be ours next turn, barring some craziness. Rogue transports about to hit Washington that I'm not aware of. So we should be back for UK round 6, and we will begin the dismantlement of the Third Reich in Berlin when we return for UK round number 6. All right, our opponent is sticking it out. He wants us to just put that nail in the coffin. We're here for UK 6, and this should be, I think, the last round of the game. We will be able to take Germany by all accounts, according to my calculations. So for our purchase, and I'll try to speed through this, because honestly, I don't even think, anything Japan did was worthy, but we can quickly just, oh, sorry, it was Germany's turn last turn. But they got our infantry artillery, hit Germany, took Italy back, took Northwest back, and that's really about it. So for us, our purchase, we're going to pretend like nothing's happening. We'll buy that and a bomber. We'll go ahead and actually just get another artillery to use all of that. We will lock that in. And we will set up our attack on Germany. We'll send everything from France. That's 6 units there. We'll land everything on the transports. Bring those around, hit Germany. Battleships will come with. Cruiser will come with. 2 cruisers. Fighters. How many fighters we got here? Yeah, 3, 5. I mean, honestly, we might be able to take Germany right now. To be honest, we might not even need the additional troops, and the odds are, I mean, looking at just the numbers here, we have a really good chance. So we'll go ahead and lock that in. I don't think there's any other attacks for us to do. Go ahead and, oh, it says implausible, but obviously that doesn't matter. We'll see how the dice go. Oof. Oh boy, wow, we have horrendous dice. We're gonna take it. All right, Berlin is ours. The Third Reich has fallen. Our opponent had just horrific dice in the first round of dice there. So not much he could do when he rolled probably 20 dice or something like that and got 3 hits. Game was over at that point. We'll go ahead and land everything here into France, because why not? And that's going to do it for the UK. So obviously our opponent is likely, yeah, and he's watching. He's watching. He saw it. He saw the final battle go down. And whether or not that British battle did not go as we hoped, the Americans were definitely going to take that probably next turn. And even if they weren't, we had 15 Russian units, you know, coming right behind it. So makes total sense for him to resign at this point. But it was a good game. I mean, it really was a game that, if you played fundamentally with the Allies, I think you win this game 9, 10 times out of 10. I do think our opponent messed up with Germany in round 1. And he bought like a destroyer, which did nothing the entire game. You know, that's basically almost 3 infantry you could get on the board. I mean, just that lost the game. Let's just quickly pull that up. 5 tanks, an infantry, and a destroyer in round 1. He had 2 infantry in Iceland. You only need 1 to do that. That's not going to do it. And then he followed that up with a purchase of 2 fighters and a bomber in round 2. So between the first 2 rounds of the game as Germany, he added 1 infantry, 2 infantry and artillery, and then dropped and lost 2 in Iceland. So he was net plus 2 infantry through the first 2 rounds of the game. At that point, honestly, the game was over. Assuming I did what I did, which is just, okay, we're just going to come after Germany. We're going to get transports going. We're going to overwhelm Germany with just infantry. And from there, there's nothing he could do. There really wasn't. And you can see it by how far the Russians pushed. I mean, this shows you all you need to know. If the Russians are like this, the game's over. You have 0 chance to do anything. And yeah, I mean, I want to be fair. He had some bad dice in C-Zone 7. I think that ultimately, what did he move into the C-Zone 7 with? 1 sub, fighter. Okay, so he had 5 units, which is pretty normal. He had just a terrible outcome with that. So he was behind the ball from the get-go. But I don't know what this destroyer was for. I think he was trying to pair it with the battleship and the transport here, but you can't move that into 17. You know that's going to get hit. And I think there's like a 90% chance we win that with the bomber and the 2 fighters. So now you just have a useless destroyer that didn't do anything really. You're buying fighters, you're not buying infantry. So yeah, Germany's days were limited from round 1. And we did a good job taking advantage of that. We did a good job aligning our logistics operation with the Americans. We had 10 units a turn from like round 4, I think, dropping in Europe. And obviously we were able to push with the Russians and hold off Japan before they could really get anything going. So I don't have much to say about his Japan play other than, you know, I think the obvious things, which are he's not getting enough units into the continent. Transports, he kind of lost sight of what he's trying to do going after India. Going after Africa, building all these ICs, just really isn't going to do him any favors. He needs to be pushing hard against Russia and then maybe swing into Africa once you have like a very healthy flow of troops coming from either the ICs that you've built earlier in the game, which should have been around maybe round 2 or round 3. But most importantly, these transports, and he needs more transports first of all, but these transports need to be ferrying troops from Japan. Sure, you can take a turn to hit India with them, but just not enough units on the board to do anything for both Japanese and the Germans. So we were able to outproduce him with the infantry, with the lights, and that was ultimately what won us the game. We were able to overwhelm the Third Reich in Berlin. Hope you guys enjoyed it. Hope this game was fun to watch. Hopefully you learned something. And if you did and you enjoyed it, please do like, subscribe, all that fun stuff. We're going to have more games coming, so please stay tuned, and we'll see you guys all in the next one.